قانونی و مشروع.
Iran's 86-year-old Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei cuts an increasingly lonely figure. In recent weeks, Israeli airstrikes have killed several of his closest military and intelligence advisors, including top commanders of the Revolutionary Guards. Hossein Salami, the Guard's overall chief, Amir Ali, the man behind Iran's missile program, and Mohammad Kazemi, the regime's spy master, all gone. They were not just military figures, they were part of a tight inner circle. 15 to 20 loyalists who Khamenei relied on for counsel in times of war, instability and crisis. With their loss, analysts say the risk of miscalculation has never been higher. But Khamenei won't budge.
ملت ایران در مقابل جنگ تحمیلی محکم می ایسته، همچنانی که تا حالا ایستاده. در مقابل صلح تحمیلی محکم می ایسته. ملت ایران در مقابل تحمیل تسلیم هیچ کس نمیشه.
Khamenei has built his regime on control over Iran's armed forces, judiciary, elections and foreign policy. But in 2025, as regional allies turn away, trusted generals fall, Iran finds itself once again alone. And this is not the first time Iran has been isolated. Iran used to be the crown jewel of the Middle East, a monarchy with oil, money, American allies and a king who styled himself the Shah of Iran. Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi. He was named Crown Prince in 1967 during his father's reign. But in 1979, everything changed. The Shah became a close ally of the US, and in the late 1970s, millions of Iranians took to the streets against his regime, which they viewed as corrupt and illegitimate. The Shah was overthrown in a revolution that did not just bring in a new era of clerical rule, but sent shockwaves across the Islamic world. When Ayatollah Khomeini returned to Iran, he did not just want to topple a monarchy, he wanted to build a new Islamic republic, one where politics was religion and Iran became its global missionary. Khomeini believed it was Iran's job to export this revolution, much like the French exported liberalism or the US exported democracy. But this made Arab neighbors, especially Sunni-led ones like Saudi Arabia, very nervous. See, before 1979, Iran and Saudi Arabia were not enemies. Both were monarchies, both were US allies. But after the revolution, Iran became a Shia theocracy, and that changed everything. Iran's first major enemy, not Saudi Arabia, but Iraq. Saddam Hussein, a Sunni dictator leading a Shia majority country, feared Iran's revolution would spread. And in 1980, he invaded. And it became one of the longest and bloodiest wars of the 20th century. By the end, hundreds of thousands were dead, and Iran's revolution had taken on a more defensive but still ambitious posture. After Khomeini's death, Iran toned things down. Presidents like Rafsanjani and Khatami focused on rebuilding and diplomacy. But that did not last, because in 2003, Saddam Hussein fell, and Iran saw a golden opportunity. With Saddam gone, Iran poured money, arms and advisors into Iraq. It backed Shia militias, helped restore shrines and became deeply embedded in Iraqi politics. On your screen, this was Iran's axis of resistance, a network of proxies from Hezbollah in Lebanon to the Houthis in Yemen. The goal? Counter Saudi and Western influence. In response, Saudi Arabia formed the Gulf Cooperation Council, funded Sunni militias, and even supported Iraq during the Iran-Iraq War. The Middle East was now divided not just by borders, but by sects. But in 2023, something surprising happened. Iran and Saudi Arabia announced they were restoring diplomatic ties. The UAE and Kuwait followed. Even Bahrain, which once banned Iranian diplomats, is talking about reconciliation. It's a slow thaw, and it's fragile, because while Iran's proxies are still active and Israel still considers Iran its main enemy, Gulf countries are hedging. They have realized isolating Iran has not worked. 45 years after the revolution, Iran's revolution may not have swept the Islamic world, but it definitely reshaped it. So this is how Iran tried to change the Islamic world and what the world did in return. Despite moments of regional diplomacy, Iran remains isolated by ideology, sectarian divides, and its own revolutionary ambition. Khomeini may still hold power, but the Islamic world has perhaps largely moved on without him. That's all for now.